Hi, today I want to talk about Hanumanasana, or full split as it's sometimes called, or front splits. I want to give us a way that we can work on this pose without it feeling stressful or dangerous, and actually take the time to work on our alignment and how it feels and spend some time in the pose to make it hopefully less intimidating and more enjoyable if that's possible for you. So you can see I've got a lot of props here. And the props are going to be helpful. So I have a bolster, a blanket that's stacked on top. I have 2 blocks. You could also do this with 3 blocks. And you may or may not need all of these props. You might find ones that perform the same function, but if you don't have all these, that's okay. You can find things around the house that can help prop you up, is basically what this is for. So for Hanumanasana, which is full split, a lot of times the modification that we would see, or the alternative, because it's not a modification, it's just a different pose, is here or here. You know, it's this sort of kneeling split variation, or kneeling pyramid, however you want to call it. But what this doesn't give you is the opening across the front of the back leg. So the hip in the back, when you do a split, gets really, really open, and that's part of the delight and the usefulness of that pose. So in order to begin to work on that, when you don't necessarily have a lot of comfort in a split, and I'm going to show you a lot of different variations, but you want to prop this front thigh up. So say I am really restricted in the realm of split. I start to walk this back leg back. Try not to kick over my plant here. But I've put this front block under my thigh. And I want to make sure that I feel pretty confident. I'm using my other block as a little handy hold here. But now, at least, I can lift my chest up some, and I can feel the opening in the back of my left thigh, which is this back leg, because I've moved the knee back and I've lifted up. And I can push my right thigh down into the block, and I can start to draw my outer hip backwards and spin my belly forward so that I start to get nice and, we'll say square. It's more just nice and balanced in the pelvis. That way, you're not opening your hip and compensating for lack of mobility. And so then you can start to take this down. As you move down, your back leg moves back, right? You can walk it back. So you have this support. It makes it feel a little safer and more steady. And then I square, and I might start to draw my low belly up and my tailbone down so that I can get a little more upright. And I'm really pushing my front thigh down into this block. And then as I sit here and I play with this and I find some comfort here, then I'll say, okay, good. Now I'm gonna come down further. And the cool thing is that wherever your body happens to be, notice I'm walking my back leg back. You know, whatever starting point along this continuum you've got is fine. Push my thigh down, rotate my belly, rotate my pelvis, lengthen through my tailbone, lengthen through my spine. You don't even necessarily need these props, right? You could perhaps just use a block. Then you might get here, might have a plant in the way and have to move. Okay. Again, key, pushing down with this thigh, this front thigh, and then you have the power to draw in. I might have to be more forward, that's okay. I can come flat, or if I had these props, I can come here, and then my hands can be here, yeah. And I'm not being, I don't have to be impatient. I don't have to go to the ground. I can keep my pelvis balanced and not feel like I have to hold myself up because now I have support, and so I can stay wherever it actually feels good to my body and work in that realm. And eventually, perhaps, I do end up in a split where both my legs are on the ground, right? But it doesn't have to be the goal. It doesn't have to be a requirement in order to feel stability and comfort in this pose. And I think that that's perhaps one of the main struggles that people have in practicing Hanumanasana, is that if you are unable to go flat, you feel unstable, you get tired easily, and so it's just not a fun experience. So then what I notice is that people either say, forget it, I'm just going to do half split, which is fine. Or people say, well, look, I can rest, now I can do it. But here, we're really compensating and sort of cheating ourselves. That's not the right word. I don't like the word cheating. But we're not allowing ourselves to open up in the places where we're tight. And we're also stretching our pelvis in a really unbalanced way, or stretching the tissues around our pelvis in an unbalanced way. So here, now I'm unsupported and I have to hold myself up, and that's not very comfortable either. So if you can add something to push your front thigh into, it's like a whole new world, right? And then you can get what is actually the intention behind Hanumanasana, which is lengthen the hamstring and length across the front hip in the back. And I find that is so much nicer and so much easier to actually work on the pose. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have questions.